Okay, good morning. I'm going to start reading the actual script of the short film. It's about 34 pages long, 30 minutes. First, let me just go back to the pictures for a minute. And that's the Wren building. I'm going to just cover a couple of things. Um, that's if you drive past the front of the Wren building along off of Duke of Gloucester's not open anymore, but you then it was, and you could drive around over to Richmond Road or over to the dorm Brown Hall. That's the porch or the building. And we're going to talk about the dorm room a little bit. And it was a very narrow room with a bunk bed, a closet, dressers, and two desks at front, and it was quite small. And for two people, which is one reason, which was it was a little bit psychologically stressful. But so I drew a layout of the um, room, and again, this is from chapter one of the first of the books. And I didn't in the last video show you the outline. This is an outline online from my own name site, and it's based on essentially the first section of chapter one and maybe chapters two and three actually up to four. It doesn't cover five. Um, so, and we showed you what this looked like the last time. We showed you the script notes, what the script looks like. We're going to go and read it from. Um, we're going to read it from an an Adobe PDF. This is a lot easier to read. So there's the title page. And it could also be uh, called a Thanksgiving Reset. That's another name I thought for it. And that's the title page. Okay, fade in. Exterior William and Mary campus, Wren building yard in the morning. September 10th, 1961, Sunday. A blue Ford Galaxy moves on Duke of Gloucester Street in Williamsburg toward the Wren building and turns right into the traffic semicircle onto Richmond Road and then immediately onto Boundary Street, Prince George Street, and into a parking lot behind Brown Hall. Dormitory. Bill Ledson, or by Ledson, actually. Usually put the BI in front of it. I'm 18, skinny, and his parents, Jack and Margaret, 47, climb out of the full-size car. Bill gets a briefcase and one suitcase out of the trunk, and Jack fetches another suitcase. The family walks through a courtyard and enters the building through a porch, encounters the first staircase turning left from the hall, and marches to the second floor and then to room 205. Interior Brown Hall, second floor. Bill sees two envelopes taped to the dorm room door, and the top one labeled by Ledson, and the bottom one Gates, both in feminine cursive penmanship. Bill pulls down the top envelope and looks, and Jack opens the door, and the family enters the narrow dorm room that, looking left, has a mini closet, then a bunk bed, and looking right, two desks near the window, looking out on Prince George Street, and two tall wooden dressers. Jack is wearing an orange-red solid ethnic shirt, and Bill wears a plain gray long shirt and trousers. Now, this is somewhere in between a shooting script and a spec script, so I'm not following exact rules. Um, okay. At 10 a.m., interior, let's see, an hour later, Bill has placed a few patent meds on top of the dresser and his high school blue and gray yearbook on the desk. His sheets have been placed on the lower bed bunk in order to claim it, but the bed is not made yet. Bill opens the yearbook and pulls out a smaller scrapbook with a few black and white photos inside. The Arlington House exterior, the rec room with the other male students in it, and some kind of social event. One particular friend, Michael, in normal casual dress. Then another picture of the weather station on top of Mount Washington, New Hampshire. A suitcase sits open at the end of the bed, and Bill's parents have hung a few clothes in the mini closet. Bill jumps as if startled when he hears a knock on the door. The scrapbook falls to the floor in front of the desk with photos visible from a distance. Silas Gates, 18 in shorts, t-shirt, and average appearance for his age, and Father Douglas Gates enter the room. Each carries a briefcase. Douglas shakes hands with Jack and then Bill with Silas. Bill picks up, it's a little bit awkward here. Bill picks up the scrapbook and puts it in the bottom dresser drawer, and Douglas sits on the bed. Silas whistles once. Dad. Oh, that's fine, Silas. Silas opens up the suitcase sitting near the entrance and takes out his clock radio and places it on the desk along with a framed picture of the apartment of an apparent girlfriend. Then Douglas hands Silas his bed sheets, and Silas quickly makes his upper bunk. He's a little more punctilious than I am. Bill's parents start to move toward the door, and I recommend showing the entire campus, which is what we did the last time. And so, um, okay, interior Brown Hall dorm in the evening. When I put an asterisk here, that means that in review and the practical screenwriting, some people recommended removing the scene because it was making it too long, or they thought it was overdone, or maybe not relevant. But I just decided to leave them in for now. But if you see an asterisk, that's what it means. Bill has a calendar hanging over his desk. His typewriter contains the first page of an essay, Definition of Friendship. He sits on his bunk while Silas studies at his desk. Bill suddenly notices that a picture of Michael has fallen on the floor. He stands and puts it back in the lower dresser drawer as Silas looks over. Bill now notices a photo of the high school girl, glass framed and mounted behind Silas' desk against the wall. A door knock sounds, the door opens, and a dorm counselor, little portly, occupies the space. Quickly, emergency dorm meeting on the porch in 15 minutes. Okay, I showed you the porch and the illustrations before. Interior dorm hall porch moments later. The men standing in the dorm are crowded onto the porch with the door hanging open in the outside yard of the street. Bill stands behind Silas, and the dorm counselor stands in the center of the porch. Just a couple items for you guys. We have a policy of room inspection, so make your beds and tidy your desk before going to those 8 o'clock classes. Seriously, the room checks are rare, and I don't know if we had one at all last semester. Bill starts to turn around away from Silas. One more thing. We have a mandatory party on the lawn Friday night. It's called the Tribunals. Upperclassmen will come to scope you. Just don't come in your shorts, even if it is hot outside. As the men spill into the hallway, Gerbert Hand and Raleigh Young catch up with Bill as Silas trails. Hey, Bill, are you going? To what? Bill shakes his head. So, like that, shakes his head. If I were you, Gerby, I wouldn't relish having my legs shaved. Bill tries to push up, and the crowd blocks him. Silas catches up. So he isn't going either? So Bill's roommate realizes he's going to skip out on the hazing ceremony. Interior Brown Hall Dorm Hall Day. It's Wednesday, September 27. Use a wall calendar and Silas clock radio to show the date and time and dorm room scenes. That's sort of a shooting script idea. Silas looks at the Bill's English theme about to be turned in, placed on top of Bill's chemistry-enabled typewriter. Silas whistles once. Bill, wearing a white-orange shirt, stands back. Then he picks up another paper off the top of his dresser, marked with a grade of B-, a one-half page paragraph titled My Special Chemistry Typewriter, which had chemistry symbols on it, by the way. He walks behind Silas and momentarily looks at Silas' first classwork thing, My Clock Radio, again a half page marked D+. Silas whistles again. I can't copy it. The asterisk means it was also challenged, but we left it in a group reading. So you can't whistle. That's a sign, not a symptom. You turned your theme in this morning. Some people said that theme isn't used anymore, it's paper, but in those days we called it an English theme for assignment of theme. Silas theme shows. What was it about? What is a first date? Different enough topic. Just barely, but no honor code risk. Got it. A copy of the honor code sits on Silas' desk. Silas picks up Bill's new theme. A typical passage. A friend generates a greater feeling of attraction than does an acquaintance. The result being that male friendship is channeled into external sublimating pursuits, sports, tribunals, and only then for some guys, girls, with external achievement taking the place of an intimacy. You're seriously going to submit this weird crap to our soy boy English professor? You mean Dabney. You don't think it's well written? Flashback. And I suggested here showing quick takes to show that Bill and Silas had separate English sections. You just don't get it. No wonder you don't want to show for tribunals. Everybody has to go through this. It's supposed to mean that for guys, body image doesn't matter. Unless you wear garish colored shirts like you, only homosexuals wear them. That's what I think when I go down the street if I see a man with a brightly colored shirt. That's what he actually said, by the way. Oh, my father wears them. Ethnic for Czechoslovakian ancestry. Commie country, too. Exterior Brown Hall Yard night. It's Friday, September 29. Bill follows Silas some distance behind, staying out of sight in the darkness on the periphery of the yard. But many freshmen line up in the yard, including Silas. Upperclassmen stream into the yard and yell at him. Okay, you want to be trust fund first frat boys, or do you want to be, or you don't want to be, which is worse? Drop your trousers and lose your shirts. The first 5 unlucky freshmen drop their long pants, and then the first 4, first is Raleigh, throw off their t-shirts in unison. The 5th Gerby has a button shirt, which then the upperclassman undoes. All 5 chests are smooth. Those 5 freshmen's calves and shins are sprayed with shaving cream. Then 2 older students shave them, their faces bearing silly grins. 2 are shorn hairless, even drawing blood. Others done in goofy patterns, especially Gerby, whose left gam, another upperclassman fingerprints with an anchor symbol. Raleigh appears to have nothing to lose at the start. The freshmen are forced to do catwalk-style struts, modeling their freshly shorn gams, as their hazers jeer the Muth. Interior Brown Hall dorm night. Same day. Bill changes into a white shirt and turns on the clock radio and manipulates the AM dial to get to the Washington Senators baseball game in the bottom of the 9th. As the Kansas City A's make up their last out on the radio, Silas barges in, looks in surprise but unscathed. You skipped? Baseball can provide a convenient distraction. Better win on television when a date takes you home. Even girls can follow baseball. You got the point telepathically. Silas turns on the radio dial and the opening of Brahms' Symphony No. 2 is playing. Ooh, no wonder they wanted to ban classical music stations in my hometown so we don't have to be accidentally exposed. Interior William and Mary Student Union afternoon. Saturday, October 14th. Bill and John Long stand in line at the Phonorecord library as Bill signs out a recording of Brahms' Symphony No. 2. Bill also carries some sheet music, several men behind standing, including Gerbert Hand from Brown Hall, in shorts with legs still shaved, one with fingerprint and temporary tattoo of a skull. My roommate hates this, even with the turning passes on a radio dial. Well, it's later than Mozart. Silas appears and stands back from the line. Hey, Bill, looks like I caught you skipping out, playing hooky, or spying, or gumshoeing. Well, if you have to show off in public, yours aren't growing back in very soon. Why does my bod matter to you? Girls' looks matter, but ours doesn't. We might have to go to war. Girls just grow babies. Male cardinals have brightly colored plumage, but mockingbirds have to depend on their songs. Silas and Gerber giggle while John looks befuddled. Interior William and Mary, piano hall later. After playing the conclusion of Brahms' second on a small record player, Bill takes out his sheet music. It's not just your bombastic second sonata I want. It's the little sonatina with the scale theme. John plays a rhythmic major scale on the piano. I want Mozart then. No, just Salieri. He wasn't as flashy as a man as Mozart. I played that theme before in previous videos. I could look it up again. Interior, exterior, Williamsburg Theater night. Bill, John, and Silas exit the theater with Marquet identifying the film Splendor in the Grass. And Dabney just assigned reading the Wordsworth poem before Monday. Don't rub it in, Bill. Next week, I'll get Bill to see Amy Vu Brahms. It's a goodbye again. Yes, at the baseball game for your crappy new Washington Senators. In the William and Mary cafeteria morning, 7:45. Bill sits across from the table. John enjoying a bacon scrambled eggs and muffins breakfast with orange juice. John's breakfast comprises hot cereal. Yes, Silas and me have the same English assistant prof, different sections. His starts about now. Suddenly, Gerbert, his legs shaved and still fingerprinted, appears along with Raleigh, and Silas trails behind them. Gerber turns over Bill's plate of runny eggs, and Silas giggles. Interior, Brown Hall porch afternoon. Sunday, November 12th. Outside, there is a rain, sleet, and drop of snow on the boundary street. The boys feast on 3 Playboy magazines. Bill stops and hesitates and steps toward the hall, but Silas beckons him. Gerbert grabs Bill's shoulder. Bill, we still got to test you out. You don't get to play hooky on our rites of passage. So you haven't kept flying away like a green cardinal. Silas holds up a bare center field and stuffs it in Bill's face. You should be getting hard as a brick on this. That's the Playboy stuff. Bill scuffles away toward the center of the porch and sits down. Raleigh and another handsome teen boy, not among the tribunal victims, sit on the floor next to another Playboy that is still isn't open. Bill lowers himself to the floor and sits next to them. Getting friendly? The teen and other boys start to stampede into the hallway, although Silas and Gerbert continues staring at the open rags on the porch. Most of you guys will go bald in the legs as you get older anyway. The stampede accelerates and Silas and Gerbert exit. Interior, exterior, Williamsburg Inn dining room, day. Thanksgiving Day. Jack, Margaret, and Bill and John feast on a typical Thanksgiving dinner. I wanted to come east for college. This place has surprises. I mean, we get only Thanksgiving Day off. We're supposed to go to class Friday, but they admit only have as many women as men. It means the more rowdy boys have to compete more. It bothers Silas. Yes, he seems wary a bit of you. You mentioned this in a letter. Well, Silas apparently took a bus to Thanksgiving dinner last night. Suitcases are gone. Books still there. I mean, you said his midterm grades weren't so good. I think so. Room looks neat. Maybe he feared an inspection. He didn't become a friend. I talk to him sometimes about the Science Honor Society initiation in our own basement in Arlington in the Mount Washington tip. And you show a photo clip of it. Best friend was almost like rival Michael, even on the tennis courts and chessboards in the summer. Silas would see this kind of thing as destructive male rivalry. But we could maybe collaborate with the music, well, someday, maybe in mysterious California like Mount Shasta. Thanksgiving afternoon, sunny and mild. Jack drives them to Jamestown. Here they look at the glass-blowing foundry and the drone, and you could show the aerial shots of the area quickly. Interior William and Mary Physics Lab recitation. Bill plays with the gyroscope wall while a young instructor grabs his lower leg. Bill glabs down. Bill looks down. I skipped the tribunals. Okay. Interior William and Mary Ewell Hall atmosphere afternoon. Bill plays the tempestuous end of the first movement of the second D minor sonata in the score. So it looks like the first movement of the Brahms piano concerto. I wish. You know, Silas says classical music should be banned from the radio so that he doesn't have to turn past a performance of Brahms' second on his clock radio dial. John pulls out Bill's sonatina manuscript on a drawstring light and focuses the glare on Bill's scale theme. He probably would think your earlier sonata, The Scale Scream, is outright girlish, but to me it recalls Joy to the World. Originally George Frederick Handel. Okay, that's where I'm going to stop here reading the script and just point out that, I fixed the typos in my outline. I put that on WordPress. I gave you a link to it in the previous video. And also in the previous video, I talked in the WordPress about Hegseth and the recent possible appointee to the defense secretary and the threat to the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I talked about that on my WordPress thing. And just a couple pictures from that Thanksgiving Day. We did go out to Jamestown. That's me when I was a little boy at Jamestown. And that's the foundry, the iron foundry. But that is the first third portion of the screenplay, and I'll continue in another video with the centerpiece where I meet the dean. And thank you for listening.